I'm Amanda Knox.
And I'm Christopher Robinson.
And this
is Who's Right? Between our usual Labyrinth episodes, we sit down to debate something quite serious.
Or silly.
And ask you, who is right?
It's me.
It's me.
It's me.
It's clearly me.
No, definitely me.
It's me.
Me?
No, me.
It's me.
How could it be anyone but me?
Says the man sleeping on the couch. Oh, we're back.
Here we are.
Yeah,
At work yet again.
At work yet again. After having come home from Vancouver.
For work.
After having done a weekend where we were on a family vacation, but in the middle of it drove back 3.5 hours to Seattle for work. Then drove back 3.5 hours to go spend the night and then leave again the next morning.
We've done a lot of driving, a lot of it for work.
Which brings us to the topic of today's Who's Right, which I feel like we're both just not qualified to address this issue. But the question is work-life balance. Is it possible to have it all? You know, is hustling toxic or inspiring? Should work emails be banned after hours? And
what about the 4-day work week?
Yeah, what about the 4-day work week? And
why are you so exasperated with this topic?
Okay, so I'm exasperated with this topic because I do think that work-life balance is important. And you should be able to turn off work. But from experience, I have found that if you are self-employed, you cannot be self-employed and have work-life balance. And I guess I'm frustrated because I want to have it all and I can't have it all. And I'm feeling, but at the same time, like, I can't imagine a better way to be fulfilled than by doing the kinds of like the kind of work that we do. Because, I mean, I don't know, like, I'm sure there are there's
trade-offs
jobs
here, right? Maybe it's worth drilling into our particular form of work and what's different about it than a lot of other people's work.
Well, okay, so one, we're self-employed. 2, we are doing the product that we are producing is not like window panes, It's like stuff we're interested in, talking to interesting people, very creative work, stuff where I'm performing. So all of the, like,
we're
this
also
sort of
working from home
in
our intimate space
with our intimate partners,
with each other,
which has a lot of benefits. It means that we spend a lot of time together, and that,
I mean, that's a benefit for us, but that might not be a benefit for anybody.
Well,
right?
Also, it puts tension on. Like, the point is that we spend a lot of time together, which is great because it means that we're really tuned in with each other. We're not just ships in the night living life sort of parallel to each other. We are very much intertwined and working together. And we're always doing stuff that is personally of interest and fulfilling.
But that's not to say that you would be doing this anyway if you didn't need money, right?
I don't know about that. I mean,
your calendar, I can tell you your calendar would not be jam-packed the way it is.
Yes, so
right?
I would be more selective about the work that I would be doing, but I don't think I would be doing a different kind of work.
What do you mean a different kind of work?
Like performing, I love to perform. I love to give talks. I love to do comedy. I love to write. All of these are things that I would be doing.
If you were independently wealthy.
If I was independently wealthy and I didn't have to.
still go do comedy and you'd still be writing.
Yes, yeah. I would just be I would be doing less of that and more of spending time with kids and more time meditating and more time exercising and just having more of that work-life balance. But because we are not independent.
Your work is your life, though. I mean, I think that whole concept presupposes that your work and your life are these two distinct things that you can draw a sharp line between.
Well, so here's the thing, though. for some people, it is easier to draw the sharp line, but there also is a thing that we draw a sharp line. Like we cannot, every time we are doing our work, we are not meditating, or we are not exercising, or we are not playing with our kids.
Yeah.
So there is a defining line. And, there are things that we would love to do that don't make us money that often we can't do because we have to prioritize the making of the money or the continuing of the work that
I think I want to acknowledge that, like, I think it is a luxury and a privilege to be able to do work that you find personally fulfilling.
Yeah, but you can work for a company and find that work personally fulfilling and also clock out.
You can, but like a lot of people, their job is their job. And they're doing the job because it's a job that check the right boxes.
Most people is that their job. And for those people who have a job that's just like, I am a human body that is doing a skill that needs to be done
and
by
a human
this
brain
employer,
doing a skill.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Human brain and human body doing a skill, putting in the hours that need to be done. Then I believe 100% in work-life balance. Like, fuck off after I'm out. Like, I'm out, and I'm now living my life and being fulfilled. If the only thing that your job offers you is a paycheck, then hell yes, 100%, 4-day work week, do not email me, do not call me,
But what if you're an entrepreneur, or if you are
but if you are anyone else,
and I think increasingly a lot of people have careers that look like that. And then the question becomes like, when I'm going on a walk with you, I'm not just, chatting about the kids or whatever. I'm also like, a part of my brain is kind of permanently stuck on, we should do a podcast about this. Right? And it's hard to shut that off because we're doing things that interest us. And it's hard to think about a thing we're interested in without that little,
or whenever you're experiencing something interesting, you're like, how do I incorporate this into our work system so I can monetize it? It's
a little bit like if you hang out with comedians and you start to notice that everything becomes bit material. Yeah. And it's like, sometimes I find it a little frustrating even because I just want to have a human-to-human moment. And I'm like, and I can see them actively mining everything that's being said or everything that's happening around us for like, how do you make it funny?
Well, that's that's the definition of a creative person. Because,
but it's also a creative person who can't turn it off, right?
Well, but okay, poetry-wise, poets can do the exact same thing. Were you ever able to turn off your poetry brain when you were in poetry mode? Because I don't think so. I think that when you're a writer, when you're a journalist, you like the subconscious plays a really important role in what you are doing consciously for your work. Like, I know that to be true absolutely of myself. Like, most of the time when I'm writing, I'm washing the dishes and then going, oh my God. And then I go upstairs and I write something. So like, because the subconscious mind is like constantly taking in information and processing that information, and then eventually that becomes the thing that you clock in and you write down. You don't just like clock in and be like, now I'm having a genius thought. Like, that's not how it works. That's not how your brain works. And so I guess what I'm saying is, I don't know if it's possible to have work-life balance if you are creative or self-employed. You're kind of cursed to be constantly on edge.
I don't know about that. I think like that might be a symptom of being helplessly interested in something.
But even if you're an entrepreneur, like maybe you're a window pane entrepreneur, like it's not that you're necessarily impassioned about window panes, but if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to be constantly thinking, where's the opportunity for me to...
Do you?
Yeah, I think
Or can
you do.
you be constantly thinking that during your workday? Like, why do you have to be thinking about that
depends.
Why can't you clock out?
Because when you're in startup mode, you are in survival mode. Anyone who is not on an engine that is plugging along without you, you are the engine. Like, and I think this is true of us and true of a lot of creative people, is you're perpetually stuck in startup mode, where
it does feel like we've been in
engine,
startup mode for quite a while here.
Yeah, your entire engine depends upon you doing the work, and it does not just chug along when you clock out. And so for your whatever it is that your thing is to be successful and to be competitive, you have to be pushing and pushing and doing and consciously and subconsciously working. And I'm concerned because I want to be present with the kids, and I want to have a relaxing time with you where we're not.
I mean, what does that
mean?
But if your analysis is right, then this is an inevitable consequence of pursuing it's the trade-off you've made, right?
Well, I don't know. See, here's the thing. I don't know. I'm wondering if I feel like we're chasing this dragon of an idea that, like, once we get the engine of our thing moving, we'll be able to, like, step back and watch our creative whatever it is that we're creating sort of have legs of its own, you know? And I guess I've just never arrived there.
I mean,
yet.
one vision of being a creative person is that your creative products are so successful that you just don't need to make as many of them.
Yeah.
Right? And so you work on them more slowly. I mean, I imagine, like, say you're Stephen King or something like that, right? Stephen King's probably working, I would guess, on one book at a time.
Yeah.
Right? And he has the luxury of, like, he knows that the publisher is going to publish his next book.
Right. He doesn't have to be concerned about, are they going to?
He knows it's going to sell.
Fucking Stephen King.
I know, you bastard. Love you.
Love you. Great. Awesome. Yay for you.
And, like, that would be a great position to be in as a creative, where you can say, I'm going to work for 4 hours a day on this book until it's done.
Right.
And, like, it doesn't mean he's not going to have interesting ideas while washing the dishes.
Right.
But it does mean that you're not hustling, right? And then I think especially the situation we find ourselves in is working on 8 projects at a time in the hope that one of them really pays off.
Right.
Right. And then some of them never reach fruition. Some of them fizzle. Some of them you complete and finish, and they just don't have a big impact. And you don't really know which is the one that's going to pay the bills. Or maybe none of them fully pay the bills, and that's why you have 8 of them.
Right.
Right. And you've got your
you're overworked.
life of side hustling, essentially.
Yeah.
But I think you'd rather be doing what you're doing than driving Uber.
Yeah.
Or, doing...
Yeah, that's the paradox of it, is it's like, I'm doing what I want to be doing. Like, this
just
is...
too much of it.
Yes. Yes, because, like, if I have to think, okay, what is the best possible thing that I could be doing right now? I'm doing it.
I mean, I would say that organically we have arrived at some... we don't often answer emails on the weekend, right? Like, if there's a really important thing, if we have partners that are like, this has to be done by Monday, I'm just like, okay, fine. I'll do the thing and I'll whatever, right? But if the ball is in my court to do something, and if it's not going to advance, like, I will email that person back on Monday.
That's true.
And I didn't always used to be that way. And I think I got a bit of that from you, of just like, you know what? It's Saturday. Let's have a weekend day.
Yeah.
Right?
We're not going to be on our phone when we're hanging out with our kids. Like,
So, I mean, isn't that instituting work-life balance right there?
It is. And so I think, yes, it can be done.
But we don't have a life. I mean, this is the more interesting problem, I think. We don't have a life that's separate psychologically from the work that we do.
Well, and I think this is one of the big challenges, especially of working with your spouse who doesn't speak over you.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, even our little marital spats become content here.
Yes.
Right?
So,
I mean, it's...
like, when was the last time we had a genuine vacation together? Because I almost feel like because we work so much together, I associate you with work and not with husband.
Great.
And sometimes I'm like, God, I need a vacation from work. And it's like, when would we?
I mean, we've also done a fair amount of travel that is work related, and then you squeeze in a day or two to do something fun, right?
Right.
But the sort of existential reason for your trip is not to go relax.
No.
It's to get work done.
When was the last time we did that?
Did what?
A trip just for fun.
Just for fun? Like a significant, let's go somewhere?
Yeah.
I feel like it was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It was
when we went with your brother?
When we went with my brother to Germany. Yeah.
God.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe we need to be doing that more. I don't know. But then I'm also one of the other problems about being in startup mode.
That's a luxury that you can't afford.
So many irons in the fire is, how do you check out for that long?
You can't. I mean, can you? I feel like we haven't figured out this work-life balance thing.
You mean society, or do you mean me and you?
Definitely me and you. We do not have work-life balance. We have the barest smidgens of work-life balance. We're maybe we won't answer that email on Saturday, but
I mean, I'm trying to figure out if there's holes in your analysis here, but I think it's pretty spot on that an inevitable consequence of the choices we've made, which give us certain freedoms. We make our own schedule. Mm-hmm. We get to pursue work that is interesting to us and fulfilling to us. The consequence of that is a certain level of instability in income, having to have multiple things going because you don't know if one will pay off or not, and doing it, from home, and with each other, I suppose, that's not inevitable. We don't have to be doing work together.
No.
I mean, I could be a painter and you could be a writer.
Right.
Whatever,
and then we, when we spend time with each other, would be a retreat from work. But the fact that we work together means that we're not retreating from work when we're together.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind working alongside you. I think we work well together.
I do think we work well together. It's kind of shocking that we are able to work together. I think it is true, though, that it's how do you then...
Honestly, when people say, I would be at my spouse's throat if we had to... I'm like, really? Well, why is that your spouse? I don't get it. Why do some people... You don't want to hang out with that person all day?
Well, there are people who are you just never get into business with anyone in your family, with friends, because business requires a different kind of mindset than just unconditionally loving and supporting. And I think that has been a challenge. Let's not pretend that it's not just easy. It's not just easy. I think we value each other because we both work really hard and we're both really good at what we do. So we both are okay, this is a good team to be on. This is a good business partner to be in business with. Yeah. But we still drive each other nuts when we're working. Yeah.
I mean, I guess I feel if that person is a good teammate in life, it's hard for me to imagine them being a bad teammate in business.
I mean...
But you think those things, because your brother and your, when you say don't get into business with family in that capacity, you didn't choose your family in that capacity, right? You were oftentimes born with siblings and so forth, right? So you might have a bond that's from blood relations, but you might be terrible business partners. But ideally, your spouse is somebody that you've chosen them because you want to spend time with them and you have a productive use of your time with each other. Maybe productive is the wrong, fulfilling use of time together. I mean, does productivity contrast or kill fulfillment in some circumstances?
I don't think that's the question. I think it's the issue of how do you manage, business requires a different kind of teamwork, I'm guessing. I mean, the team that you are with your spouse is your family, right? And I think the goals of your family are not necessarily the goals of a business. Like a business is to be profitable, it is to be efficient, and it is conditional, it is fundamentally conditional. Like if the business isn't working, you
shut down the business.
You shut down the business and you pivot. And with family, ideally, you are in a situation where it's unconditional and it's not necessarily efficient. And the goal isn't to produce something, but it is to be harmonic and supportive and of the product, which is
and it might be the case that you've picked a spouse who's very good at being harmonic and supportive, but the two of you have minds that don't gel when it comes to being productive together.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I guess I can see that.
The number of times that we have to, on a business level, like make business decisions, like this is what we're going to focus on, or this is our product, or this is how much time is going to be allotted to this or that other thing. Like, I think one of the big challenges of that is it leads to, you know, if you're not really good at not taking things personally, like you can get really hurt by certain business choices that is good for the business, that I think we just happen to be in a position to like know that it's not personal, it's business, you know, like, so.
Well, I mean, that's, I think, true of any realm of life. If your ego's getting in the way, that's not going to help your marriage either, right?
But the goal of a marriage isn't to make money. You know, like
depends on the marriage.
Yeah, I guess if you're a gold digger,
well, or if, you know, there's historical arranged marriages, and you know, sometimes the goal of a marriage is to create political stability between warring nations. You know, obviously that's not our not our marriage. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, maybe our listeners might have more advice on this for us.
I'm confused. Like, I mean, I think that, like, on a personal level, we're juggling this as best as we can. But, like, in my ideal world, we would somehow get out of startup mode and instead be able to have more of a work-life balance where I might be able to clock off, you know, on a Friday. I don't know. I mean, like, here's the thing. We are flexible schedule, though. And so we just, if I clock off on a Friday, I'm just going to clock back in on a Sunday, you know? Like, that's how it pans out.
But, like, in terms of the total amount of your time spent doing what you would consider work, right? I mean,
yeah, I would like to do less of that.
Why don't we have a 4-day work week?
Yeah, why don't we have a 30-hour work week instead of a 50-hour work week or something like that? Because I think we just have too many things that we're doing.
Well, I mean, part of it is a kind of chase mentality of like, you want the next best thing. You want the best for your kids, right? And so even I think lots of us fall prey to this, that like, even if you probably would be fine, it's really hard psychologically to get to the place of being like, we'll all be okay with a little bit less if we make a little less money by hustling a little less and adding in more, you know, open time into our lives that can be used for other pursuits. But when you're in startup mode, it feels like you're really trying to get to that place of stability. You have to take every
opportunity that you can in order to get that engine running. You're just like all the inputs. But even
if you work in a corporate environment, you know, there's like, are you going to be the person who gets the promotion next year if you are if you're voluntarily saying, I'm going to work from home on Fridays, and actually, can I work 35 hours a week? Maybe the company has policies that allow for that kind of thing. But in my experience, talking to friends who are in those environments,
being a go-getter,
like even if they have, I mean, just take the work from home policy. Even if the company allows for a certain amount of work from home, the people who don't use it as much are more likely to rise up the ranks.
Yeah.
Right? Now, maybe you don't want to rise up the ranks, but like you're getting more well compensated for your time when you do.
I mean,
you know, why hasn't society in general gone to that? Like, I think there's this keeping up with the Joneses element, and then there's just a general, I don't know, capitalism.
You want to be indispensable, and so the more present you are, the more indispensable you are. But again, is that toxic or is it inspiring? I don't know. It seems kind of toxic to me.
I mean, Steelman it. How is the hustler inspiring?
They get stuff done. Like, they actually get it done, you know, and it's always impressive when someone exceeds expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's attractive. Like, speaking as a woman, like, I find it attractive when a man exceeds an expectation. I go, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's success is 90% perspiration and 10% inspiration, right? That idea that like you're just going to work and work and work and work and not stop and never quit until you get there. And that's a big part of the hustle mindset. It's like, yeah, you're being creative, you're having insight, etc. But
I guess the thing that like
it's not just the insight. You know what I mean?
I mean, but then there's luck. And like luck throws a wrench into everything. Because
that's true, but I think this is why that's why that equation is true. Because
perspiration, you can perspire your ass off your whole life and luck can still be against you.
It's true, but given that luck is a factor, making yourself available to benefit from luck is all you can do. Right?
Sure.
And that's why perspiration matters. That's why tenacity matters. Because if you are trying constantly, that's more dice rolls for the luck to go your way. Right? If you are not working as hard, that's fewer dice rolls. Right?
Yes.
It's like the whole thing about opportunity too is it's just like making yourself available to opportunity when it comes your way.
And then at what cost, though?
Well, the cost is that you have less leisure time and that you're more focused, you're hustling, right?
And that you're not being present with your family or yourself. Because sometimes the most important thing is to just exist, which is ultimately what all of this is leading to. And all of the things that we can ever achieve are all going to turn to dust, just like all of us. And so are we just chasing an idea of what being okay is when everything is totally fine right now, right the way it is?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have some friends where I look at their routines and their lives and I'm like, I want that, you know? We've got a friend who does yoga every morning and then goes and works on his creative projects for a couple hours and then hangs out and goes on a long walk and makes dinner and watches a movie and,
that's pretty freaking swell.
Right. But he also lived in a hustle mode for a long time.
And got lucky. Because he's so talented, but also very lucky.
And worked hard to capitalize on that, I also think back on my time living at artist colonies where my life was subsidized by some generous foundation because they believed in my artistic talent and they gave me a place to live for 2 months and my meals were taken care of and I had no responsibilities but to write a novel. Like, that was amazing, right?
Yeah, did you even appreciate it, like how amazing that was at the time?
Yes.
Yeah, you knew.
I was doing an adjunct teaching grind. Before
so you already
that.
knew. Yeah.
And I was making terrible wages with no job security. Like I wouldn't know
with no creative time.
How many classes I would have until a week before the semester began, depending on enrollment. And then I would have 80 papers to grade a week.
So what you're saying is we just need lords and ladies who...
Well, I mean, I also understood that, that is the modern day system of arts patronage, where instead of some rich guy saying, be my personal poet and live in my villa and write sonnets about my lady, instead that rich guy or lady donates their money to a foundation that then doles it out to artists piecemeal and through artist fellowships and residencies.
Mm-hmm.
And so someone is subsidizing that lifestyle. And, I also think about something like Burning Man, like as cool as the no transactional, no economy like Burning Man experience is, it's all subsidized by a bunch of money flowing in from the outside from the hustling world of capitalism.
Right.
Right. So I think while I was enjoying that, I was also acutely aware that that it's not sustainable,
sure.
Right? And it depends upon other people who are choosing to use their wealth to support this thing and wealth that they gained from that very thing that I'm not doing.
Right.
Right. So that doesn't seem like a solution to any of this. It seems almost like, I don't know, a mirage.
Yeah, it's like work-life balance, just a temporary respite that some people get to enjoy.
I mean, you can always adjust your desires. I think I'm thinking of that, I forget which Buddhist chant this is, but there's one of the, in the chant book at our local Zen center, there's one of these phrases that's like, to not want great, riches or
for
many,
myself
many
or
things
for my family.
For myself, or even for my family, right?
Yeah.
And whenever I hear that one, and whenever I recite that, to try and relinquish the desire to have, great possessions for myself or my family, it's like, it sounds good on paper,
mm-hmm.
but then I'm like, but don't I want my, daughter to have a, no, you can't have that stuffy.
Mm-hmm.
No, we don't, and also withhold from myself my new laptop or whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can, and that's part of that teaching,
not
right?
Hustling like that. There are opportunities to remove yourself from the hustle completely, but even then, like a monastery is kind of like Burning Man, where somebody is sustaining it.
Well, what I'm saying is that if you relinquish your material desires to a certain degree, the amount of money you need goes down.
Well, but then you're not creating things and you're not producing things in order to not
I mean, if you're a creative, you're creating less things, fewer things, right?
Or nothing, because you need things in order to make things. Like if you're meditating and also doing, writing a book or whatever,
mm-hmm.
You need the internet and you need your laptop and
there's a certain amount of necessary expenses, but I think anyone in any industry, it's very easy to get used to your status quo of what your life is and to want it to be improving. And I think there's a lot of psychological research that also shows that you're...
What's your point? Is that there is work-life balance, it's just we haven't acknowledged...
Maybe we have a cognitive block, and that block is you want your life to be a little bit better tomorrow than it is today. And since we, almost to a person, all feel that, and that our sense of fulfillment and happiness in life is not based on where we're at, but it is based on the sense that our life is getting better, that leads to this hustle mentality where we're constantly trying to make life a little bit better, as instead of accepting where we're at, or even say downsizing and being like, you know what, maybe I could have a smaller house and maybe I don't need to go on as many vacations or whatever. And if I made those choices, maybe I could only work 4 hours a week and it would be fine and sustainable. Maybe I don't need that promotion and I can stay right here.
Again, I think that depends on where your business is at. And if you're in startup mode, you can't afford that, because startup mode means the survival of your business or not. It's not is my business going to be producing 100 window panes or 1 million window panes? Is it going to exist?
Yeah.
So that's where the creative
and you still feel like this could all evaporate tomorrow. And
yes,
yeah,
100%.
Yeah, that would be nice to not feel that.
Yeah. I think we should turn it to our listeners, though, because maybe they have work-life balances that they could educate us about.
Yeah, what are your strategies? How do you carve out that line between work and life? And
do you work with your spouse?
And survive?
Let us know.
Yeah, we want your advice.
Yeah.
We need it.
Yeah, this is one where I do not claim any kind of authority.
Yeah. Well, as soon as this recording's done, we have more work to do for other things.
Yeah.
Of which you will hopefully be the beneficiary.
Yes. I hope you like it.
Yeah.
We're losing our minds.
You know where to find us.
At AmandaKnox.com, on Instagram at AmamaKnox, and on Bluesky at AmandaKnox.com.
There you go.
Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Till next time.
Peace.